/ ramble, if you like, about my thoughts as a Chelsea fan on the game, how it's going to go, and stuff like that. So we're going to have a look firstly at a bit of their recent form, the two teams, as I haven't really been able to cover a lot of the games recently, and there have been some games recently which I do want to touch on. So we'll talk about both teams, we'll then talk about how both teams will line up, their tactics, etc. We'll look at the potential consequences, if you like, for both clubs if they were to win or lose this. So kind of like who this game really matters the most for. And then at the end I will give my final prediction for the Cup final on Sunday. Of course, everybody get in the comments now. Let me know your predictions for the Cup final in the comments below. Who is coming out on top, Chelsea or Liverpool? I'll probably do a review of the game so we can have a look at some of your predictions after the game as well, so make sure to put them in the comments below. But let's begin then. Let's start off by talking a little bit about the recent form and some of the recent games both clubs have had. So we'll start with Chelsea. So we'll start really from when these two teams met in the 4-1 win for Liverpool. So since then, I released a video talking about Chelsea, saying how I think Poch is kind of done. It was a massive rant about the club in general. But to the credit of Poch, to the credit of the players, they have galvanised and really, really improved since that battering versus Liverpool, and not completely proved me wrong, but at least for the shortcoming have proved me wrong slightly. So we had the Villa game, which in FA Cup was, I believe, our best performance of the season, our best performance in ages. In fact, it's probably the best we've played since Thomas Tuchel was in charge. That's one how bad it's been recently in the last 18 months, but to how good we played against Villa when you consider the opposition going to Villa Park, who at that point hasn't lost there in a long time. And we had just come off a battering, but we controlled the game. Enzo Fernandez for me in that game was terrific. Even before his sensational free kick was amazing. Him and Caicedo in the midfield were beautiful together. We really saw the best of them in that game. Overall in that game, Villa barely threatened us defensively, solid, created a lot of chances, controlled that game. It was such a good result and performance by us. But then the next game against Crystal Palace kind of made me think, okay, that was just a flash of the plan, really, because for the first half against Palace, it was abysmal. It was back to, I guess, for Chelsea have kind of known this is, in fact, even worse than that. That was one of our worst performances of the season, which is kind of funny that we had our best performance of the season, then one of our worst straight after. It was so poor, but we did salvage it. We got better as the game went on. Second half was better, and then in the end we did well. Gallagher got 2 goals, didn't he? Good to see Gallagher getting in amongst the goals he scored against Villa as well. Finally scoring, because we definitely need some goals coming from other places, as a lot of our attackers aren't doing it consistently. But we got the win there, and then we went to Man City, where I was not confident at all. Not at all. But we did manage to get a point at the Etihad, almost coming away with all 3, which is pretty insane. I had one of my subscribers, they posted, I think the day before the game, they were like, oh, I'm quietly confident we might get a point, and I was like, oh, you're deluded. Fair play. They were actually right, because this was, again, one of our better performances of the season, especially the first half. We were absolutely fantastic, so good defensively in this game. Admittedly, so we did get a little bit lucky that Haaland had an off day. But at the end of the day, that's not in our control. We were really dangerous on that counter-attack. However, I think we could have come away with 3 points. The only real bad thing I have to say about that game is sort of the tactical adjustments made by Pochettino. Because we went to a 5 at the back, we went super defensive, and I believe it was a bit of a mistake. Because, as I said, we were pretty dangerous at catching Man City on the counter-attack multiple times that game. And then he resorted to a 5-4-1, literally parking the bus. We had no outlet, it was just attack after attack, and they eventually got the goal. So that was the only thing I didn't like, but overall that was a terrific performance. So we're going into this with some actually pretty good form for once, which is a rarity nowadays for Chelsea. As for Liverpool, a bit of a mixed bag. Against Chelsea, obviously fantastic, but the game after that was arguably their worst of the season versus Arsenal. Really poor, but admittedly so it is against Arsenal, one of the best teams in the league, so you can kind of give them a pass there for that one. However, the Burnley game after that, you can't really. They got the win, sure, but they were a little bit lucky and weren't really at their best in that game. Burnley, if they had been a bit more clinical, could have actually snatched something there, so that wasn't the best of results, or best of performances I should say, but they got the win. Brentford was much better. The only real bad thing about that was the injuries they sustained in that game. Jota, Jones, Salah, Nunez, all of them getting injured in that game, which is really bad, but we will get into those injuries in a second. And then after that, Luton. Now this was a weird one. The first half they were 1-0 down at half time, which is a real shock. But to be fair, that was because Luis Diaz had a bit of a stinker in front of goal. He had chance after chance and just couldn't bury him. But second half they came out in kind of typical Liverpool fashion. Came out, turned it around, absolutely blitzed Luton. Fantastic performance. Klopp labelled it as like one of the best comebacks they've had in a long time, which I think is more like a psychological thing to kind of galvanise the players before the cup final. I don't think it was really that impressive. However, it was impressive to show their mentality, and considering the injuries they had in that game, it was impressive. So Liverpool, while they've won quite a few games, one, they have been against teams you would expect them to beat in Burnley, Brentford, Luton, and two, their performances in all of the games haven't been amazing. However, they've just been getting over the line and getting the job done, so that's really all you can say. Right, let's get into the team news and the lineups. So we start with Liverpool. So as I mentioned, injuries are a big thing here. Liverpool have a lot of players missing. I think there's about 10 or 11 who could miss the cup final. So obviously there's the long-term ones like Thiago, Matip, but I'm not going to include them. In terms of the fresh ones, so Jota and Jones are definitely out for this game, that is for sure. Szoboszlai, pretty certain he is out as well. Trent, pretty certain he's out as well. Alisson, again, pretty sure he's certain out. He's out as well. Those three, unless something miraculous happens, they might be there in the squad, but most likely they're not going to be playing. So that is 5 key players out. Then it's the big ones about Salah and Nunez. I have no idea as of recording whether they will be fit or not to play in that game. I suspect they will at least be on the bench. I'm not sure if they will be able to start both of them. I'm not sure of the severity of their injuries against Brentford, but if those two are out, then that is not ideal at all. And when you actually look, so the team that battered Chelsea 4-1 when they last played each other in a fantastic game, pretty much the entire of that team can't play the cup final, which is a real worry, because if you're Liverpool, I guess if you're Klopp, you're like, oh, I'll just play the same team that smoked these guys, similar tactics, and we should be fine. But you look at the team that played against them. It was Alisson, Connor Bradley, Canate, Van Dijk, Gomez, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Jones, Jota, Nunez, Diaz. Out of those, the only players who are guaranteed really to be available are Bradley, Canate, Van Dijk, Gomez, McAllister and Diaz. That's 6 players. So, not good. So, in terms of the lineup and how they're going to set up, I think if we have a look at their last game against Luton, where they had all of those players out, we have a look at how they set up. So they had Kelleher in goal, they had Bradley, Kwanzaa, Van Dijk and Gomez, Endo, McAllister, Gravenberch, and then Elliott at right wing, Gakpo at striker, and Diaz left wing. Which is not ideal, but I think the back line is pretty certain. I'm 90% sure of what their back line will be on Sunday. Kelleher, unless Alisson, again as I said, remarkably gets fit, Kelleher will be in goal. Bradley will be at right back. Canate and Van Dijk should be the centre back pairing. Kwanzaa, I mean, if Canate has a slight knock, maybe Kwanzaa can play, but it'll be Canate, Van Dijk. And then I do believe Joe Gomez will be playing left back. Now, Andy Robertson is back from injury. However, I don't think he will play, as Gomez has been playing really, really well. Robertson's just coming back really from to full fitness, so I don't think they would chuck him into a game like this. So I think that back line is pretty settled, is pretty strong as well. No real complaints with that one. The midfield, Endo and Alexis McAllister for sure will be in there. The other spot is between Harvey Elliott or Gravenberch. Now, it depends really on the fitness of Salah and Nunez here. Let's say one of them is fit, then I believe that Harvey Elliott will then move into midfield. But if not, which, just for the sake of simplicity, we're going to assume they're not fit to start, I believe Gravenberch will play in that midfield, meaning the attack, again assuming Salah and Nunez are not fit to start, I think will be the same attack that lined up against Luton. Diaz on the left, Harvey Elliott on the right, and Cody Gakpo up top. And I mean, it's alright, but for me, Luis Diaz for one needs to step up. He can't do what he did against Luton. He needs to be clinical. If this is a front three, he is really one of the more experienced ones out of those three, and the guy who Liverpool would be looking at to turn it on really. So this would be his moment to step up. Gakpo up top again. To be fair, I thought he did pretty well against Luton, but he's very, very different style and changes the way Liverpool play compared to Nunez up top. And Elliott on the right, obviously he's no Salah, but he is a very useful player. And the problem is with this is there's not really another alternative. If Salah and Nunez are not fit, there's not really another front three Liverpool can play. Besides that front three, Gakpo, Elliott, Diaz, as Jota's out as well, so there's not really anybody. They're going to have to rely on these three and hope these three can do it. So, for me, this will be the lineup Liverpool will play. Kelleher in goal, Bradley right back, Canate, Van Dijk in centre back, Joe Gomez at left back, Endo, McAllister and Gravenberch in the midfield, with Harvey Elliott, Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz in attack. Again, assuming Salah and Nunez are not fit. Now the problem is, with this team, I think this team is alright, but it's kind of what I mentioned earlier. If Salah and Nunez are not there, let's say they don't even make the bench, off the bench, I'm not really sure who can come on and make an impact if this starting lineup isn't working. Because if you have a look at the bench we had versus Luton, oh my, it stinks. It was Andy Robertson, Bobby Clark, James McConnell, Jadon Dans, Canate, Adrian, Kay Simicast and Trey Nyon. Now, some of those youngsters might prove to be the next Bradley and be fantastic, I don't know. But you don't really, in a cup final, want to be chucking any of those players I mentioned on that bench. If you're losing the game, I wouldn't bet my house on any of those to come on and change the game, really, in a cup final. So, that is a bit of a problem. But I do believe, as I mentioned earlier, Salah and Nunez will be at least on the bench and able to come off from there if they are not starting. Right, so as for Chelsea, the team news and tactics, I should also mention about the tactics with Liverpool. I mean, just play how you played versus Chelsea when you beat them 4-1, really pretty simple. Just play the way Liverpool normally play. There's not really much to say if Liverpool play their usual game. If they play how Liverpool play, there's not many teams in world football who can stop them, and definitely not this Chelsea side, so it's relatively straightforward for them to play their game, and they should win this final. So, Chelsea, now the players have had a pretty good rest, unlike the Liverpool players who played midweek. Chelsea did not, so they've had a nice rest. There's no real fresh injuries like Liverpool had, except Thiago Silva, who did get injured versus Man City. Kind of like Salah Nunez, I have no idea if he will be fit for the final. And then obviously have the long-term guys which will be missing, such as Reece James, Fofana, Lavia, Cucurella, all those guys, but don't really need to worry about those. So firstly, I mean, the shape is a little bit of a question. Will it be a back five or a back four? Because the back four got absolutely ripped up last time we played Liverpool. But the back four was good versus Man City. As I mentioned, we did go to a back five against City. For me, it didn't really work too much. But Poch might look at this game and think, cup final, let's just be a bit more solid, resolute. Might be a little bit scarred from what happened last time we played Liverpool. However, I suspect we will set up in a back four in a bit of a similar shape to the Man City game, because they do play kind of similar styles, at least going forward. So I think the back four setup will be the same. Now, in terms of tactics, from that Liverpool game where we got smoked, the main reason we messed up was I think we were a bit too naive. We tried to play a high line, we tried playing out from a back, keeping that ball when we were at Anfield versus one of the best teams in the world. Just never gonna work. But I think Poch just learned his lesson, one from that game, but two, you saw in the Man City game, we did relinquish possession at points. We played a lot more of a counter-attacking style, and it worked very well. We caught Man City out on the counter-attack numerous times, and were very resolute defensively. So I think that's the best way to approach this game, really. So in terms of a lineup, Petrovic definitely has to start in goal. He could be crucial as well if it goes to penalties. He has a pretty good record at penalties from his time in the MLS, and also did really well in the Newcastle penalty shootout in the Carabao Cup quarter-final, I think it was. Gusto, definitely at right back, he was absolutely fantastic versus Man City, as was Axel Disasi, who, I mean, to be fair, he was really bad last time we played Liverpool, but he was great versus Man City, and he'll be in the side. Now, with centre-back pairing, this is a bit hard. For me, if Silva is fit, he has to start, because we need that experience in a cup final. But if he's not, then it's going to be Colwell or Chalobah. Chalobah's, only just come back into the side, so it'll probably be Colwell then. As Badiashile, I believe, is injured. Chilwell, definitely at left back, but again, he must be a lot better than he was last time we played Liverpool, where he got absolutely destroyed. Midfield picks itself, really. Enzo, Caicedo, Gallagher, they have been fantastic recently, but they must step up in this game. A key thing is them also being press resistant. Liverpool employ a very high press, similar to Man City, but it's arguably even more intense. They were good at keeping the ball when we played Man City, but we're going to need to be like that again. Can't lose the ball in dangerous positions. Caicedo did that when we played Liverpool last time and it resulted in a goal. So the midfield need to be good in the ball. Gallagher is also going to be key in terms of his pressing. Against Man City, he kind of went into a bit of a 4-4-2 defensively, pressing up high with the striker, which is something I want to see happen in this game because it worked very, very well against City. The attack for me, I think I would keep it the same as the Man City one. Palmer, Sterling, Jackson. Now where they all play will be a little bit interesting. Last time we played Liverpool, Cole Palmer was the false 9. Didn't really work though at all. So for me, you have to put him on the right. That's his best position. Jackson is an interesting one. He's been a lot better out wide than through the middle recently. But you have Sterling, who for me has to be on the left. Jackson linked up pretty well with Palmer and Sterling going through the middle against City. So I think put Jackson through the middle and Sterling on the left. But I will say Sterling, firstly, needs to be a really crucial player here. I'm expecting a lot from Sterling. He's one of the most experienced players in this side. He's played in many cup finals before with Manchester City. He knows how to get this done, and I need a big performance from Sterling. I need him to really step up here, similar to how he did when we played Man City. Jackson as well. He was crucial on the counter-attack versus Man City, linked up, crucial for that goal versus City, but needs to be more clinical, and I need him to put his shooting boots on in this final because, wow, I mean, against Man City he was great, but he should have scored. He had a fantastic chance, but he didn't put it away. In a cup final, you can't do that. You only get a couple chances, really. You have to put it away. Nkunku, for me, I wouldn't start him. He didn't do the best coming on versus City, but I don't really blame him because at that point we were kind of parking the bus. But he will be a useful player off the bench, as will Madueke and Mudryk, who could be useful at points off that bench. But the main thing is, with Chelsea, I just want to see us be a bit more cautious, like we were against Man City. Be quick and ruthless on that counter-attack. Attack with pace. Liverpool have been susceptible to counter-attacks all season long. You can get at them, so I want to see the attack get that ball quickly and play the ball very, very quick while the defence tries to hold out. So, in summary, the lineup is Petrovic in goal, Gusto at right back, Disasi, and if Thiago's fit, Disasi and Thiago. If not, Disasi and Colwell. Chilwell at left back, Enzo and Caicedo and Gallagher in the midfield, Palmer on the right, Sterling on the left, and Jackson through the middle. Alright, now let's talk about the consequences if each team loses or wins. So with Liverpool, if they were to win this, there'd be a couple things for them. This would definitely be a really good building block for them in the Premier League and the rest of the season. It would be nice to get that winning feeling back to Liverpool. Obviously last season they did go trophyless, so some of those newer boys haven't had that chance of winning silverware at Liverpool, like some McAllister, Soboslai, Endo, Nunez, right? He wasn't there when he... Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nunez hasn't won anything either, so that's Community Shield, so it'll be nice for those newer boys to get that winning feeling, understand what it means, and just in general, they can use that as a bit of a morale boost, major confidence boost going into the title race. It will also mean that potentially the quadruple is still on. It would be a bit of a B-Tech one with Europa League, but still, quadruple is a quadruple. But perhaps the biggest one is Klopp. It would guarantee at least one trophy, won in his final season at Liverpool, which is a massive, massive motivating factor for Liverpool to try and get at least one trophy, because, you know, there is a chance that things don't go well in Europa League, FA Cup, they lose out the league title. If they don't win this, it would be a shame if 0 trophies won. So at least they can guarantee at least one for him if they win this. Now if they lose, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It would be disappointing, but I don't think it's the end of the world. It could have maybe a little bit of an impact on the league, but I don't think it would be that awful, to be honest. I think they'll kind of just brush it under the carpet. If you're Liverpool, the main thing really is, I think, because as I said, Klopp may not win a trophy in his last season if they lose this. So I think that puts a lot more pressure on them to do well in the Europa League and FA Cup. If they lose this final, they might take those two trophies a lot more seriously as Klopp tries to get that trophy in his final year. If they win it, maybe they could be a bit more relaxed in those trophies. So that's maybe something that could be a domino effect from this. But overall, I don't think this is the end of the world for Liverpool if they were to lose it, but it'll be really, really nice for them to win. As for Chelsea, well, if they were to win it, now I actually read a really interesting article on The Athletic about how winning this could actually cause problems for Chelsea financially, because it would mean we would be guaranteed to qualify for Europe next season, and we would qualify for the Conference League, and because we are back in Europe, we would have to adhere to UEFA's much stricter FFP regulations, and that would mean Chelsea have less money to spend and would have to sell more players to compile with the UEFA FFP rules. So, I mean, that's a slight problem, but that's a problem for down the line. The main thing about winning this is, one, it's a way back into Europe. There's a good chance we do not get European football this year through the league, so this is a way of guaranteeing ourselves back into at least some sort of European competition. Even though it's the Conference League, not that much of a serious trophy, it's still European football, and we need European football. But perhaps the biggest one is Poch, and what winning this trophy does for him, because this would be his first trophy won in England. One, it would very heavily annoy Spurs fans, but it would be really good for his morale, and his job should probably be safe till the end of the season, unless something catastrophic happened in the second half of the season. Winning the Carabao Cup will guarantee him at least till the end of this season in the job, will relieve some of that pressure from the fan base, because a lot of the fan base have turned on Poch. Winning that would just peel it back a little bit. Would be great for him, silence a lot of the, noise around him and being like a bottler, not a winner, would get rid of all of that. And it would also be a really good building block for the players, because we have a lot of youngsters who haven't won major trophies. Out of all of those younger players we have in the squad, literally only Enzo Fernandez is the one who's won a major trophy. Cole Palmer has, but he's never contributed fully to that trophy as well. So the likes of a Palmer, a Colwell, a Gusto, a Caicedo, Badiashile, even a Gallagher, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think any of them have really won a major trophy in club football. So it's about getting that winning feeling for them, that confidence level, which is heavily, heavily needed for these youngsters, and will hopefully, kick them on a little bit. There's also a little side note in terms of Wembley curse. We've lost a lot of 5 games, 5 finals at Wembley, so it would be good to get rid of that curse. However, a loss, though, will have some very, very big consequences. Firstly, for Poch. Now, this is very funny how the narrative changes here, but if Poch was to lose this, the narrative around him would be he's a bottler, he doesn't know how to win, he doesn't have the Chelsea DNA, he's like a Spursy manager. The Chelsea fans will turn on him, they'll say we need a proven winner, he can't win at Chelsea, he's not capable of handling the pressure He's a bottler, stuff like this. And it would be big pressure on him for the rest of the season to perform. Otherwise, he could get sacked and it could get a bit toxic. So yes, it's very funny how things can switch after just one game. As for the players, wouldn't really be too good for their morale, especially when you consider these are youngsters who maybe would find it a bit harder to recover from that psychological blow of losing a cup final. As I said, not many of them have been in these situations, not many have played in cup finals, so don't know how to get over the fact of losing cup finals. And you look at the squad, there's not too many leaders amongst them. You've got a couple like Thiago, Reece James, Sterling, who have lost those cup finals and know how to deal with it and can help them. But there's not too many who those youngsters can turn to and get support from. So it could have a bad effect on those youngsters. And also may mean that we don't qualify for Europe next season for the second year in a row, because there is a good chance we don't qualify for the league, and if we don't win this cup, then that means there will be no European football at Chelsea for a second year running, which will not go down very well at the Bridge. Alright, all of that being said, what is my final prediction for the 2024 Carabao Cup final? So, I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it'll be quite a cagey game, similar to the previous Liverpool-Chelsea finals. I don't think we're going to get whitewashed like we did in the Prem, or at least I hope so. I think it could be a bit of a low-scoring one. I wouldn't be shocked if it went to extra time or penalties. But this is what my heart is saying. I think that Chelsea are going to frustrate Liverpool. For the first half, Liverpool struggled to break us down, struggled to create those chances without their star men in Salah and Nunez. I think we hit them on the break, take a 1-0 lead at half time, maybe a Palmer or a Sterling or Jackson. They come out second half, they try blitz us, they probably chug on Salah and Nunez off the bench who aren't fully fit. They push forward, trying to grab a goal, and then as they're pushing forward, we hit them on the counter. We make a couple subs like Nkunku, who give us that bit extra edge. We snatch another one to make it 2-0. Maybe the pressure then dulls and they do snatch one to give it 2-1, and it's a bit of a grandstand finish. But in the end, Chelsea win 2-1. Now that's my heart. What my head is saying, I actually think it'll be very similar to that. I believe that we're going to frustrate Liverpool. They might struggle to create chances without their star men. And I do genuinely believe that we can go in at half-time similar to Man City 1-0, hit them on the break. But here's where it changes. I believe that what will happen is we might be winning 1-0 at half-time, doing well. They'll bring on the Salah, they'll bring on the Nunez. Klopp will get into them at half-time. They're going to go for it, they're going to try and blitz us, they're going to throw everything they have in. And usually when that happens, Liverpool score. And usually when that happens, Chelsea capitulate. Our mentality is a bit weak. So I think that will happen and we'll just concede like 2 goals in quick succession. They'll make it 2-1 and that will be it. And Liverpool will win 2-1. So that's my head prediction. I hope I'm wrong and my heart prediction is right. It's a big game for Chelsea. It's a fairly big game for Liverpool as well. What are your predictions for the cup final? Let me know in the comments below. And